Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So, some of you may or may not know who Billy Carson is. If you don't know who he is, that's okay. I'll try my best to explain who he is in just a moment. Well, fundamentally, he is a strange individual. I guess you could use that sort of terminology, right? He recently debated a man named Wes Huff, a Christian man, and the debate didn't go Billy Carson's way. And as a result, Billy Carson decided to unleash and make up excuses as to why he performed so badly with Wes Huff. He's also suing Wes Huff as well as the moderator, whatever his name is. Don't even know his name, but the moderator was terrible during the debate. If you want to go and watch the debate, Billy Carson doesn't want the debate to go anywhere because he knows he performed that badly. But Wes Huff actually has it on his platform, and I didn't know who Wes Huff was before he debated Billy Carson. But if it meant that I get introduced to the likes of Wes Huff because of Billy Carson, amazing. Honestly, Wes did a fantastic job debating Billy Carson. Billy was just really arrogant, self-righteous. He mocked God quite a few times during the debate, and he ended up finding out big time that it's not a good idea to mock God, especially when you're dealing with somebody that is anointed, as it would seem, by God. I'm talking about Wes Huff. Like, there was a moment in the debate where they were talking about gender, and we'll get on to more of that in just a moment. Like, what gender is God? Billy Carson wanted to know that. I don't seem to like fully understand or comprehend why he wanted to know that, but nevertheless, Wes obliged and shared the truth that, well, God presents himself, especially through Jesus, as a male pronoun, male archetype, right? So he also has a feminine version of him as well. Like when God says we were made in the image of God, he's not just referring to men, he's also referring to women as well. We know that God is a being. We know that. We don't know what he looks like. All we know is that he presents himself, or we use the he pronoun for God because that's how the ancient text describes him as, and that's how he comes across as well. So that's what Wes Huff was talking about in regards to gender, but Billy just didn't seem interested at all in hearing what he had to say. There was also at the very beginning of the debate, which was quite interesting. You guys should actually watch the full thing. It's over 2 hours long. And I know I could talk for possibly 40, 50 minutes breaking down each moment, each important moment, but I won't do that for your sake. Just go and watch the whole thing. You will love it, believe you me. But the point that I want to make here is that Billy tried to deny that the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus did not happen because of one particular book, the book of Sinai. I think it was. And Wes Huff just did a brilliant job because I don't think Billy counted for the fact that Wes studies all of these ancient texts. And Wes just literally obliterated and annihilated Billy Carson. And it seems as if because of what the debate like ended up being, Billy Carson being put to shame, doesn't seem like Billy Carson likes being put to shame at all. Well, he ended up going on and doing like over a 3-hour live stream, I think it was, just complaining. And his fans turned on him. They were like, Billy, stop, unsubscribe. I've turned to Jesus because of you, Billy, and the Wes Huff interview. And here's the comment that you guys should all see. James Marcho, whatever his name is. I hope Wes sees this comment. I've been an atheist that believed many of Billy's claims for my entire life. Since the debate, I've been watching a lot of your content, and I'm going to say something I've never said before. Wes has single-handedly dismantled my entire worldview on the Abrahamic doctrines. Not only do I realize how incorrect I've been my entire life, I am beginning to believe the Christians may actually be right about everything. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's true. Thanks, Wes, for shattering my worldview and setting me down a solid foundation. Look at that, man. You have a scholar of Abrahamic literature and the Bible, Wes Huff, and he is sharing everything that every Christian should know and every atheist should know. And if a former atheist that believed in what Billy was saying a lot of the time, which a lot of what Billy says, I'll have you know, is very much incorrect. It's down the path of like, what the hell are you on about kind of thing. If you listen to the Joe Rogan podcast with Terrence Howard, it's kind of like that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go and watch the Terrence Howard podcast with Joe Rogan. It will leave you going, duff. Kind of like that. Not what Joe Rogan was saying, but what Terrence Howard was saying. Terrence was essentially alluding to the fact that we are all God. We are all God. We've all got this conscious within us that's a God, and we're all spiritual beings, which he's not wrong about the fact we're spiritual beings, but we're not God. That's just pride talking. And essentially that's a huge mockery of Christ, if you ask me, by saying that we are God. We don't need God because we are God. Ridiculous. But that's what Billy Carson also teaches. Here's a few other comments. Thank you, Billy Carson, for introducing me to Wes Huff. Use me as this moderator was insufferable on a level we can't begin to comprehend button. The moderator did suck. One good thing about Billy is that he launched this Wes Huff into the stratosphere of internet recognition. Thank you, Billy. And let's get Wes on Joe Rogan, please. I agree. That would be great. Wes displayed so much patience, grace, and humility during this debate. He was polite, composed, and respectful to Billy and Mark in ways, Mark is the moderator, in ways that he may have been tempted to respond in a snarky and disrespectful manner. Well done. What an excellent example of confidence through knowledge and real faith. So who is Billy Carson, ladies and gentlemen? Finally getting to that point. He's a founder of Forbidden Knowledge, Inc. He's also a very rich man, a very proud man. Best-selling author of the Compendium of Emerald Tablets. Seems like this guy is a cultish like figure, as it would seem. Like, look at this photo, right? You've got the eye, which is a hieroglyphic of sorts, I believe. So 4BK Knowledge TV. So we're all part of this conscious, right? It's a conscious streaming network, which is the Forbidden Knowledge TV. But he's also the author of Woke Doesn't Mean Broke and The Epic of Humanity. He's also the winner of the whatever award. And he's the host of the Forbidden Knowledge podcast and the co-host of Biohack Your Best Life podcast, among many other things. He's done quite a few films and things like that. He's also into a lot of space exploration. So the guy, you know, a lot of people like Terrence Howard, you know, space exploration, UFOs, believing in consciousness, the whole things like that, like charlatans. I'm going to make you think a certain way so that you pay me a certain amount. I get rich and you're none the wiser, pretty much. And someone that I actually know who's been on this podcast is actually a board member, which I was quite surprised about, Tim Story. So, but anyway, let's get to the point of the gender stuff that, well, Billy just got this mantle on. Have a watch.
In your version of what you believe in, you keep saying that God's a he.
Yep.
And so where do you get that from?
Yep.
Well, throughout both the Hebrew Old Testament and the Greek New Testament, you have the masculine singular pronoun used for God.
And why is God a man? Where's the evidence of this?
Well, God isn't a man. See, within historical Christianity, we don't believe that God has a gender. However, the way that he has decided to reveal himself is through the masculine plural, and then ultimately by becoming a human in the person of Jesus Christ. So we don't believe that God has a gender. In fact, the fact that God creates humanity in his image and he creates them male and female, those are two aspects of the image of God. And so that's the completeness. So historical Christianity has never argued that God is gendered. Jesus is gendered in the sense that during the incarnation, he becomes a human man, but he's still fully man and fully God. But God is spirit. And right, as the scripture says, we worship him in spirit and in truth. But nobody's arguing that. What's that? Sorry?
That always blows my mind.
God is the same all the time, right? He's always good. It's always, God is all the same all the time, right?
Yeah, but we do see that in scripture, God has revealed himself through the masculine plural. And there are aspects of God's character that we see within scripture that do actually communicate. Jesus says that he longs to gather Israel like a mother hen collects her chicks. So we see aspects of, the feminine of God, not meaning that God is feminine, but that the image of God reflects both the masculine and the feminine. And that's why when, the two become one flesh, there's a uniting of that reflects the image of God as well within the covenant of marriage. The feminine of God, not meaning that God is feminine, but that the image of God reflects both the masculine and the feminine. And that's why when, the two become one flesh, there's a uniting of that reflects the image of God as well within the covenant of marriage.
Do you actually believe that the majority of Christians really believe that God is not masculine, that God is has both aspects?
I mean, it's irrelevant what the majority of Christians believe.
How many would tell you, that God's not a man? They've never been taught this.
Well, I was taught it growing up. I was taught it in when I was a child, when I went to seminary, when I went to Bible college. I was taught it in graduate school. I would say I would say a few things to that. I would say in one sense, it's irrelevant what the majority of Christians believe, because what historical biblical Christianity articulates is what they should believe. There are Christians who run around saying all sorts of things that are not in conformity to biblical, historical, Orthodox Christianity. Right. And they shouldn't believe that because it's irrelevant. And so if one Christian believes something that is not in line with biblical Christianity, I mean, that's on them. So God is not gendered, but he does express through inspired scripture the masculine the masculine pronoun.
So he does raise Wes Huff does raise a very good point towards the end there, saying that all Christians seemingly believe in different things, right? Just because you believe in one thing and you talk about that one thing doesn't necessarily mean that you are necessarily right about that one thing that you believe in. I think if we can come to the understanding and knowledge that Wes Huff is talking about in relevance to the context of like the point of God being so-called gendered, I think it's important for them to actually know the truth. And if they know the truth based on historical evidence and facts, it goes without saying that if you know all that, why would you believe in somebody else that's going, oh, it's just my belief, it's just my opinion here? No, I'm much rather going to believe somebody that has actually studied the text, knows the facts. I loved ancient history and modern history, right? But we're always encouraged to look at sources. Where do we get our facts from? If we know this to be true, how do we know it to be true? Do we have real evidence? And I think that we do have real evidence to support the fact that Christ did come, he did die, and he did rise again. So there's that as well. And then also there is historical evidence to point to what we can refer to God as in the sense of gender, but God is not a specific gender. He refers to himself in the Bible as man because, male and female, God created them. He created them. Like, it's just, I know there's a lot of confusing stuff in the Bible. I get it, but it's not that hard when you break it all down for it to make sense. That's all I'm saying. And Billy Carson's missing that because he's just in complete and utter denial. And he'd much rather reject God, mock him, than believe in him. But, I think everyone everyone has to realize that God is real at one point for them to change. Who knows when that's going to be? Anyway, that's enough for me, but you guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.